Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GLL Apex Legends series. Now, before we get into match number 8 for the EMEA region, we have a very special moment. I'd like to welcome Bravo to the stage.
I'm going to just hand off my headset to Andy here, just so he can...
Oh.
Basically, we've got to explain something for you.
Would you like to? Oh, I know that.
So what's going on here, Bravo? If you could explain to our audience at home.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Great to see you again. Thanks, Mark. So we had to make a lunch order today, and Ansvar, our observer, told me absolutely do not order this. I asked for a second opinion, and they said it's very Swedish, so I decided to order it. It is a tunbrödsrulle.
Could you say that? Excuse me. Do you mind if I call you Andy?
I don't mind at all, Polly. I think at this point we were certainly on that.
Do you mind just saying that word 1 or 2 more times?
I'll give you one.
Okay.
Tunbrödsrulle. What do you get? It's okay? Very good. Okay. I'm hearing very good. I'm hearing very good.
And so what
Glitter, just feel the weight of this.
Yeah.
What would you estimate that, granted in pounds, it weighs?
In pounds?
Yes.
This is like 2 pounds of food.
At least.
3 pounds of food.
It's like 3.
This is like
How many kilos is that? It's enough. I think I should take a bite. You want to bite too? Okay.
Let's see what's
Can you
inside.
tell people what's in it?
Yeah.
Can you describe it to people?
I will also say I was handed a fork and a knife.
No. We don't need those here, brother.
Right. Okay. All I know is that it translates loosely to thin bread roll, and inside are there is a meat of some type. There's also lots of vegetables, tomatoes. There's a shrimp salad. There's a lot going on.
Wait, there's shrimp in it?
Yep. Ready? This is the first bite.
So hold on, it's like 3 meals in one?
It is.
So there's like there's meat, a full salad.
1 sec, let's see.
Mashed potatoes, and then a seafood dish. Oh no, it's shrimp salad. You've got stuff in your beard, Andy.
Thank you.
Andy, what are your initial reactions to this?
It's delicious. I'm going to go eat it. I'm going to let you guys get on with the show.
Okay.
Delicious.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
I love this country.
Thank you so much for sharing that very personal moment with us. I'm sure I'm sure everybody at home is elated. Could you also describe the experience you just went through on set?
What, the entire thing that just happened, or just the sandwiches?
Just the experience of eating.
I would say that there was a spicy sausage in there, which is always exciting. There was mashed potatoes, salad, and I only had a small part, and there was a lot more to discover. So I think that Andy's really going to go on sort of a little bit of an adventure, a culinary experience, and I'm looking forward to the feedback that he's going to give us.
And Glitter, for yourself and me, I think it was quite the moment to witness, a spiritual experience for all of us.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
I feel
Definitely.
Anyway, back to the action at hand. We are almost ready for match number 8 for the EMEA region here at the GLL Apex Legends series. We just saw an amazing victory from Cooler. They came back not happy with their performance on day 1, adjusted and got the W. Guys, what do we expect to see going into game number 2? An underdog rising to the top once again, or one of the heavyweights smashing them back down?
I'd love to see an underdog.
Yeah.
Keeps everything interesting. And it doesn't have to be the same one. Let's keep changing it up. Let's keep getting teams moving up on the leaderboard, kind of leveling out the playing field a little bit to force those other teams into
making decisions they didn't want to make
pretty
today.
much.
Yeah, I actually want to watch on drop maybe Luminosity or Reciprocity to see if anyone's harassing them early on. I think that's the exciting thing for us to see, because if one of those gets taken out early, like I mentioned before we got into this second game here of the day, someone has to make plays, and Luminosity and Reciprocity are going to be most comfortable if they're left to their own devices to do what they did yesterday. Someone has to change that. If that happens, the following 4 games are going to be ridiculous to watch.
Yeah, we saw before match number 1 that the leaderboard had a possibility of being close if results went a certain way, and that first match definitely swung us in that direction. Do you expect it to keep up and be right down to the wire by the end of the day?
Absolutely. These teams want to win. Not only do they want the pride points of winning, but who doesn't want the prize money, you know? There's a lot that they're playing for, and they are proving themselves along the way, so they're all going to play to their absolute best ability.
Yeah, I feel as though even if you're a team at this point, at the lower end of the scoreboard, you're probably not going to be in the money, or you have a very small chance being in the bottom side of the money. But nonetheless, you still want to win. You still want to show your skills. You want to have an impact on a top-flight Apex Legends competition like this on set.
Yeah, and also seeing teams around you who have just managed to win a game that have been struggling for the entirety of the first 6 games that we've had so far in the EMEA region shows that it can be done. So that kind of breeds confidence through the lobby. And also, that little seed of doubt gets planted in those teams who are at the top of the table at the moment, because they see, all of a sudden we had this little cushion. Well, coming into today, now that's kind of disappeared. We have to perform now. We don't have any second chances. We have to be as consistent as we were yesterday, if not better, if we want to be the champion.
Talking about breeding confidence, I have the utmost in our casters. Dreadnought and Breadboy, over to you.
This is good, man. We went from the Bravo squad to Breadboy. I'm slowly declining over the course of Sunday.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed I wasn't hosting, because I planned to come in and be like, hello and welcome back here to Bravo's Swedish cuisine review. You know, we got quite a few subscribers on YouTube. You know, would you like to say anything to our fans at home?
I would. First of all, thank you for letting me come to Sweden and eat all of the food and helping me on that mission. So far, it has been awesome. It's been a great time here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to visit Sweden multiple times.
This isn't your first rodeo here.
And it is one of my favorite countries to ever visit. Definitely, not even lying, I literally probably the most likely if I was to move somewhere else, I would move to Sweden. I think it's just a dope place. Dope people, cool people.
It's been
cool
great.
Food.
It's been great so far.
Cool Apex Legends.
Cool Apex Legends.
I was trying to help.
Well, it's been great matches so far, and we expect that the rest of Europe will be no exception, of course. Game number 1, a central end zone, which saw a lot of difficult rotations for teams. I mean, I think that we couldn't ask for a better example of, even though there's a lot of different options for cover, once you've passed the chokes, we saw just how difficult it is on that Capital City South as you get towards that southern cliff. Just because you've gotten through the chokes, the hard work isn't even done yet.
Yeah, no, it's super challenging. The breaking points that exist within World's Edge, and, you know, I think that's probably one of the more extreme examples, but there very much are safe havens into long distances to trek, into choke point, into distance, into that next safe haven, right? And it's basically safe haven to choke to safe haven, and anything that you have to do circle-wise that forces you to stabilize, not towards that actual safe haven in itself, and you can't always know that based on the circle, right? It just makes it extremely, extremely challenging, and that's, for me, again, why I've been so boastful of Luminosity, is they're one of the few that even in that lose-lose scenario that you would doubt, they somehow pull ahead.
Taking a look now at Cooler as we jump into game number 8 here for the European region. As, of course, things are getting thin in terms of points, and really the performances that we see over the course of these next few games are going to determine who our champion will be at the end of the evening. Taking a look at Reciprocity EU. As a reminder, they were sitting in second coming into that last game.
So interesting to watch some of the initial thought processes on drops, right? Like, we've gone by a P2020 and a Mozambique, and I don't know if those are nothing to write home about, but which one of these are worth picking up versus not in the early game? And I guess purely based on Reciprocity, feeling probably pretty comfortable there up at Skyhook.
Yep.
Not too worried about it here, as Pepega Squad just make their way down back to planet Earth as they transition into Geyser.
Interesting also, not every day that you see a team kind of flying through the Northern Geyser choke down into Geyser. Also worth noting that traditionally we've seen them as a Lava City team. So now just to see Pepega Squadron kind of coming down and into Geyser from the north, maybe they'll rotate down. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and it's weird even more so when you consider, at least recalling the small glimpse we did get of the dropship, to my mind, it rode very heavily on the western side, north to south, right? Almost perfectly on the farthest side. And you could be like, well, maybe Lava City was a little bit too far, but the distance between Lava City and Geyser would have just been delaying 2 seconds on your drop, equal distance of travel. So it seems like it would have had to have been something else that forced that level of deviation here for Pepega Squadron.
Yeah, certainly you can bet that if they are kind of dropping there, that there's a chance that they at least, especially it's not a surprise or crazy to think that after having a lot of experience with a Lava City drop, that they also might have had kind of, you know, they know their way around Geyser as well, more than they would maybe other drops in terms of intimately knowing the drop.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody wondering why that might be the case, it's because that is a very, very popular rotation there on that eastern side of the map. Lazarus, though, standing outside the tree as some kind of, you know, community members. What are we aiming for? What color do you want? We just saw gold.
We've seen a few.
We didn't see it. We didn't see it. You know
no,
what?
Wasn't on the show.
What's going on?
Wasn't on the stream.
Yeah.
I'm just having my tundra.
Anyways, here, Lazarus, clearly, I was originally going to pose to you, Bravo. I was just going to say, do you call it the tree or the leaf? You know,
well, I call it tree, but I know Glitter calls it Leaf with a certain amount of disdain.
Yeah, but I've heard more than just her, I think, call it Leaf, just because that big old leaf on top. It's kind of hard. When you look at it, you don't think a tree, you do think a leaf, I think, more often than not. But
it's fair. It's fair indeed. Now looking at Hot Springs here. This is going to be the side of Samsung Morning Stars, once again towards the bottom of the table for them, as they actually drop from 10th to 12th after that last game, and all the more reason that they're going to need some really standout performances in the final games for EMEA.
Team we've still been looking for, hopefully finding that standout performance here. The Potatoes. It's been a continuous story of struggling, I feel like, here for this roster. Currently sitting only above This Is the Way in terms of our standings, 19th in total. Train yard battle is not typically going to be the most advantageous, considering where those shots are coming from. It's the high ground to the south of them. They could make a rotation out and just rely on the fact that they have positional advantage here, but I can't help but feel like anything involving battling is about worst case scenario here, considering the loot and, more importantly, the healing resources available.
Absolutely. I'm expecting them to kind of fly around that western side of Train, maybe even a bit far north to get somewhere comfortable, rather than going into Train anytime early is going to be really difficult. You can almost bet that a team will certainly be set up in those top crates, and those battles at this stage, especially for a team like Potatoes, they're just not worth the risk.
Great opener here on the Havoc coming out from Samsung Morning Stars as they look to push this choke. Gibraltar Ultimate's going to zone them off, and they have to make a move in or out very, very quickly here. First shot is going to land and actually connect onto Limek. So we see Casper, one tick on a shielding going to be taken away. Gibraltar. Oh, that was a great arc star. Almost enough to be able to stick on top of him. Doesn't hit the damage behind that box. Havoc spray not as good as it could be there, considering the distance and energy weapon. Actually uses the rip, but moves forward and then back. A huge waste on the distance there, and it's going to come at a cost.
That's a big spend, and now trying to desperately to stay alive. Here comes the ult as well, though. But luckily that Gen is going to save him and allow him to pop the bat.
That was so clutch from Nisa. It's not going to be enough to keep him alive, but the fact that Gen even went down, keep in mind, if that Gen doesn't drop, there is no chance. Limek even kind of makes it out of that situation.
Getting dinged from G2, who's up here on high ground now, and going to just, once again, reap the rewards of this battle here. Mimu continuing to lay down some shots.
And notice this, a very different tale. We just got our glance there out of G2, looking pretty good. Now glancing back at Na'Vi, massively stacked when it comes to the gear, just like in the last game, our second place team there. And I'm just trying to highlight that it does feel like, at least for these two teams, when we've gotten the mid-game perspective, things are very, very different than yesterday.
Absolutely now. Also, not only just looking good in terms of armor and economy, but also holding down this rooftop, which we once again talked about, one of the highest value places that you can expect the teams to set up at any stage where it makes sense. It's not surprising to see them, but there's a Kraber in play.
I don't know if I've ever been more excited to see a player pick up a Kraber than Tisanya. Out of any character, any player. It doesn't even feel like it's necessarily within his forte, because the guy's more on those micro shots and things like, but can't help but feel like we're looking at the start of a highlight reel.
He has surprised us before, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case again. Like you said, the man is a highlight reel, and you can really say that about the entire Luminosity Gaming roster. They had not only showed up and burst onto the scene at the Apex Legends preseason invitational mid-September, but also have only grown from there, as Dreadnought highlighted during the pregame. Very impressive with them as they sit at the top of the table.
Mady here for Wizen. Rare glance at a longbow. Actually, here a longbow out in the distance as well.
A longbow alt. He has the Season 2 combo.
He does have the Season 2 combo in hand. That's a very good point. I didn't even consider the ult. And so it's very clear that things are struggling. I'll be completely honest. This is one of those moments where JWMK has always had the less gear. I don't know if that's because they personally believe that maybe, you know, he's the weakest of the players, so therefore the least amount of resources could be a contributor or what. But that's a moment where, with a longbow alternator on my Wraith, she having the highest gear, I'd like to see that swap to somebody with better weaponry.
Kick looking here. Now they're going to, looks like, set up this push. Side bait does have the portal down, and they are going to go here on the push. Early damage coming in, though. That Gibby Q does come down, going to give an opportunity for a sell, but they're going to need a few more for 90s. Dropping here, they do drop one player. We'll see if they can get any more.
Matrix taking a lot of damage there on the lower level, trying to find the target on the outside that originally got the spray into him. We'll be able to stop the advance there. Big flank coming out from a fight here at Capital City, as it's going to be Pepega Squadron reaping the rewards here of their battle.
G2, by the way, not winning that battle. Take a look at the kill feed there. Still going on. We'll see exactly how, as actually a few trades come in for the sides of G2 and Kick.
Na'Vi, though, still extremely well equipped as they make their rotation up to what we have called the toll booth.
Давай пока останемся, еще дропнемся.
99 Peacekeeper when looking at Impulse's perspective. Not surprising there. Wondering if anybody has any kind of range. It's rare to hold a sighting at this distance without somebody having something to be lethal at beyond 100, 125 meters.
Don't think they had a gen up yet on the south side, which is typically what we saw yesterday. So certainly expecting for that to be the case if they plan to stay for any amount of time.
Luminosity made a weird rotation. We didn't get to see, somebody's got to be here and force them into a weird circumstance. They dominated the third floor. They left, went out towards the northern end, and then reportaled into the lower floor. So clearly, they've got themselves a couple of tangos, and it may be the Pepega squad sitting now on the top floor of that house they just transitioned towards.
Yep, Pepega Squadron, let's take a look at exactly where they are now. Here at 10th, despite that win yesterday.
So last time we saw Tasanya and friends in this situation over at Capitol Hill Circle, it was actually the fight just on the outskirts of the zip line of this exact building, and it was the victory that they ended up getting. And so Calba wondering, is this an area where they have a lot of dominance on their late game decision making?
Rotato's here actually trying to make a push. Some damage coming in there from the scout of Shiv, and he and team are now going to push into that high ground. Also taking a look at Kick, who is actually noping out of the high ground into the lower ground as they go towards depot.
Yeah, they're going to sit on the depot and on the opposite side of the sorting factory kind of choke that comes through. Shiv and friends still in what seemed like pursuit for a moment. Ping's going down in advance.
Yeah, that was Kick that they were chasing, and that was as we just saw them. Excuse me, that was Brotato's. There was a pushing in on the high ground, and their opponents are actually going to scurry away to depot.
You're right. That was Kick and the one trying to retreat. So now the question is there. When looking at the roster, what are they going to do to further points? Because it clearly seems like they are more focused on concentrating on a couple of that early game aggression. I think very understandably so if you went back and watched some of those VODs coming into today. Not just them, but I think anybody who wasn't top 5 out of EMEA.
And now that we got to look at where that ult is sitting there on that southern side of the toll booth zip, you have to think that there are certain angles towards the back of depot where you can take that gen out. So maybe not as powerful as we saw it yesterday. There will be teams that do have angles in there. Whether they challenge them or not is yet to be seen.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where I feel like it's a very big learning point here, and I'm going to bring it up on the fact that Shiv and friends, right? They were in pursuit, and then they backed off, and then they decided to commit to the rotation in the exact same channel through the bubble that they just watched Kick do. And to take that bold of a confident decision when you have no way to defend yourself and are basically free shots, that to me is a level of confidence that you should not be having with the success that Brotato's have had. Now, they are a newer roster, and there is a level of forgiveness compared to all of the teams here that I think they deserve. But that's one where they've got to clean that up if they want to have better success.
We just go through the capital, I think.
Go ahead and listen in now to Soar as they decide how they want to rotate. You hear him talking about getting through Capital City.
Yeah, but they should be moving.
Yeah, they're moving already. Let's go.
Yeah, we should be moving as well.
We're up left.
Yeah, just hug the zone.
Don't get caught out. Yeah, I won't. About 1 minute and a half, so we just play it slow, scout ahead.
Yeah, we just need to get all the way on that side.
Back with the Brotato's. Now once getting into that rotation from that high ground and dealing with what was going to be Kick. I'm assuming the battle that they're still dealing with is actually that one into Kick itself.
I think that is the case.
And one of the reasons that I want to bring up that decision that was made here is when we started this, there was 5 cells on Shiv. And now he's clearly taken enough to where he can't even keep himself up after the generator's even gone down on top of it. They are losing the war of attrition, even though they aren't losing their lives, at least not yet, right? And I feel like with those kind of decisions that continues upward, it's only a matter of time before you can't deal with a situation. And so it's got to be cleaned up.
You have a limited amount of chances for certain before you even get into trouble. And then already, even if Shiv had, I would say, a few heals at this point, it would be a dire situation with none. And being forced to slow heal on that Walton up before the next rotation, it's going to be pretty difficult. Matey now, Longbow 301, a little more Season 2 flair there, and has opted to go for the 301 instead of the alt.
And look how spicy this circle is here, Bravo. It's sitting on the northern fuel depot in southern capital city to where it's actually kind of isolatory, where that fuel depot choke, the toll bridge, clearly being very, very successful. And as we see the next rotation there, on that circle, the toll bridge will still be in it, in that exact area, not the same one that I was talking about just on the outskirts of the construction, but it's just a little bit more to the north. That whole open field we were so concerned about last game is literally where this one ends.
That's where we're headed right back to. We saw just how much trouble it was in game number 7 for Europe. Unsurprisingly, that's going to be the case in any lobby that you play in, especially at this level. As we take a look also here on the side of SOAR, once again, knowing that they need to rotate as well.
The corners. I have no more bats.
Never
Just
a good
look
time.
in the back. People rotating. We gotta kill them.
Yep.
We'll go ahead and listen in once again through this rotation.
She's on the right here. Wait, first floor is also in red. We should go below there. We should go below. We should go below.
Careful. Yeah, just
Because we can't get out.
They're rotating now. Almost cracked.
Give below. Give below.
Go on, yeah.
Another give below. Another give below. Finish. Nice.
Finish him.
I'm no bats. Better.
Kill left. I'm using an old max though.
Move up.
We have to clear. We have to clear.
This is fine. This is fine. Right here. This is perfect.
Use your ult Axel. Don't make sound. Don't make sound. We gotta go left. I think we gotta go left, by the way.
Yeah, we should.
I can port us?
Rotate.
Or do you run?
No.
Run.
No port. You can run in.
Run.
Play silent. If there's anyone here.
Slow walk it.
They're gonna burn it. They're gonna burn it.
You can hear the importance of stealth there, coming out for SOAR with their rotations, not wanting to make too much noise, but looking to make way too much noise. Pepega Squad, is they're going to break down the door here of this lower floor.
And
Time's up, let's do this.
Here you go, the R coming in there with the Suicide Bomber Wraith. Let's see what Balanji finds around the corner. Not a lot of damage coming in through that, and actually expecting to have a very different breach.
Yeah. You got to wonder, did somebody make it to that second floor, which is actually why you see that Watson fence kind of go down. It would have cost a lot of HP to make that decision.
I think this is our answer, and this is directly above.
They are
and
on
this
the
is going to be
second floor.
Reciprocity EU.
But look at what it cost them.
Yep.
And now the fence at the bottom, too. You're just walking into everybody there. Pepega Squadron wasn't necessarily the bang they wanted when the door broke, but clearly still having the success they needed on this breach, as long as Fjeldern doesn't actually get thirsted, as we see the double denial of the entryway there, at least for now, using that knockdown shield. Nobody wanting to risk going through the punches, going through that, because not having your weaponry out may cost too much.
Balanji here, covering for the revive. And all these teams playing this hard edge. Let's go ahead and listen into this breach again.
I can't get in. Got him.
I need armor.
Switched armor already. Need nades. They have no nades.
But as we were saying, Dread, these teams playing the hard edge of this circle much more than they would like, as they're getting trapped like we talked about. You brought up a great point in game number 1 of today, just how difficult the transitions through Capital City are. You have to approach them with such care. There could be so many teams at different levels of each building, and this is a great example of just how difficult that is. But back to Ksania with that Kraber in hand.
He's got 3 shots in it, so the fact that he's only distributed 9 over that period of time make it 10. Pretty surprising. Normally, I think at this point in time, you'd be willing to risk those. It was an early Kraber. It was a round 1. You'd be willing to risk the shots, and then after one of those kills, take whatever late game weaponry you actually wanted, maybe even burn a few bullets as you drop it off so nobody has the resource. But to slow distribute those shots, show a lot of confidence that I don't know if they can have. Clearly, Na'Vi can't here on the back foot, as they are 1 shot away from going down the self-res.
Let's see if no, there's no way this is going to happen here as he's trying to get that. No, Na'Vi will go down. More bad news for them. Sitting in 6 before this game, so they're going to have to try to grab some points throughout the rest of the games today.
And so this is going to be the weird moment where we get to see what the thought process is for Titania. When he burns this last bullet, how do you get rid of this? Do you just go take anything off of anybody? Because it looks like Hot Drop's there with the low ground looking into them. Gibraltar Ultimate, actually not to into them, but instead off on the side. Gibraltar Ultimate did go down and get 1 crack, but they aren't willing to push up quite yet.
Still trying to gatekeep and hold that choke. Now also looking at SOAR.
I'm breaking ult.
Oh, that was the Kraber shot, the one.
Did you hear the gasp out of the SOAR side? That was RPR there. You actually audible gasp as that Kraber hit. Could not believe it. And you're also going to see Luminosity Gaming heal up once again.
Great positioning for them, sitting dead center, showing that they had a lot of a forethought to this potential final circle. Gambit of trying to retreat here. Once this rift drops, I think it should be the beginning and the end here. Portal's going to continue to close, but he's just walking into everybody else in this battlefield. Ends up opening with a med kit rather than shielding. Pretty interesting call there.
Yeah, going to go down here.
He has a self-res, though, if they leave him alone. He showed. Once you show the golden res, it increases the chances of you getting away with it to about 1.
Yep.
1%.
We'll see if we can get around this rock and maybe get a placement point, but we know that is going to be very difficult given the angles that we'll be approaching soon. But we talk about LG and the spot that they've got, the Capital City Crates. A pretty high value spot right now, lots of cover from a variety of angles. Essentially able to disengage and angle yourself away from almost anywhere at this stage, especially because you're not going to have too many teams coming up through that choke.
But what if I told you the big problem is we just watched Exons actually use his bubble, and this is one of the best times he used the bubble as the circle's going to force this next fight. So actually, Luminosity Gaming doesn't have an opportunity to dictate some of the environment they're going to battle in. Is Virtus Pro clearly trying to get the flank here now, more from a western side.
Virtus Pro now in 5th. They want to make this push, of course, not only for the elim on LG.
Every second he waits gives time for Exons to get that Gibraltar shield back up, and I think it might be just enough that at least halfway through they will be able to get it. Virtus Pro throws it down.
Don't see it just yet. We'll have to see as that ult is hitting. Not seeing tick, so it could actually, I think you're right, Dread.
Oh my gosh, and then there's going to be shots coming through the south. Don't even know what that was even. Come through and just rip apart Noth. 2 of the members end up dying, and it's Wizen unleashing the damage here from that high ground, playing the slow game.
And Sword was the team from the south.
So what do? Luminosity still seem to have some kind of control there in the mid. I believe that's who they're glancing at now.
Yep.
Yeah, they're still alive here, holding their own dead center. Keep in mind, that is only 100 bullets, 110 available for Tisania, and the only gun he has. About a mag or 2 mags and a half available to him. He has to find a way to get a hold of one of these loot boxes. Luckily, a little bit more energy available there.
Watson's defense is getting shot out from all directions. And they know they just need to hold tight here. Guaranteeing themselves a top 5. Now taking a look at Papega Squadron, that's going to be Fjeldern, who only has a gold self-res available.
And a pretty good position for people to maybe ignore him for a period of time. But if he does go for the self-res, the audio queue will give enough over to Luminosity to get an easy clear. That loot box kill right there actually may be enough for them to move over and actually get some heals. That was into Virtus Pro, so now there is loot available in region for Tisania and friends if they may need. And
you got to think Wizen, pretty good spot at this point with his high ground over crates.
Except for the fact that they are the ones who have to move into Luminosity, right? And that devotion is going to be prepped and ready. So can they do it here, as it is going to be 5 squads remain. We only have 2 full squads, I believe. The rest, I think, are kind of battered away.
Oh, and look, Kazani's actually going to poke for just a bit now. The bubble does go down. And they should be able to get this melt on the Wraith. Should go down any moment. Doesn't come in just yet, though.
Exons and Estes, already getting bodied in this fight. Tisania is about the last hope here as he comes in with that spray, burns a whole mag, ends up finding one of the knocks, 44 bullets and no armor available. Peeks around the corner, gets the slide, blue armor there, and it's not enough. The battle still continues, and Papega Squadron actually going for the self-res. Fjeldern does it and keeps himself alive. Will he get the 10 seconds for the Phoenix? No.
I'm gonna go finish.
He gets his swords pushing in, trying to find that. Finds the self-res. They find it. They deny it. Now 3 squads left.
Soar look like they have what it takes there with the great flank. Now 1 team left. Soar has the armor. RPR fully geared, goes and looks to get the crack. Only 9 damage available there on the purple armor. IPN finds it with the cleanup, and Soar take off here in game number 8.
And you hear the excitement there, the celebration in their voices as they take that game. We take a look at where they are on the table, 13th. So a win like that, we'll see just how high kill that game was. They're able to take that, but they're going to be feeling good. And I have to say, that's a team we saw also in Capital City, right? Slowly getting through the city. And we saw kind of the trials that they had playing the hard edge of that zone. In the end, able to do pretty well. Once again, of course, overpowered. Pretty international squad. Overpowered, the only American player in the EMEA bracket. IPN from Norway and RPR also coming in from Croatia. That's a big win for them. And coming from that 13th spot, I think it's going to come down to how many kills they're able to squeak out, whether that really puts them in the running for the top 3 today.
Yeah, it does definitely still continue the trend of, it looks like day 2 might be a bit of a mix-up, right? Game 1 wasn't a total fluke when it comes to how some of these rosters are playing it. But the one thing for me, looking back at the game, we did get a perspective of them halfway through the game, and they still maintained the exact same positioning, actually. And when you think about Luminosity Gaming, they sat 20 meters, kind of south in that hills for about half the time the Soar maintained that, and they kind of just existed by one another. I'm surprised neither one. I understand why Soar was so patient, but why Luminosity was comfortable basically being in the middle of everyone for like 10 minutes. It almost felt like they were like, let's do the trial by fire. And Soar was just like, okay, well then we'll come in when we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Paula, Glitter onset, what do you guys think of that last one?
I think Saw did a great job there of getting their first win. I'm not exactly sure where they were on the overall leaderboard before this, but they're not a team that have got a win so far. So that's definitely positive momentum in their favor and putting pressure on those guys at the top.
Absolutely. That was a good game. That end zone was not... there weren't a lot of cover options, and the ones that did exist, LG managed to take early so that people couldn't kind of push up on them. And that self-res by FJ
we were like,
actually terrified me.
Yeah, we were like, this guy, if he gets this off, he's going to do a lot of damage because there's going to be two teams fighting. He could almost pull off a howl in that kind of situation.
I think they found him with just a couple seconds left or something, right, after he was trying to hit the Phoenix Shield.
Yeah, you can hear that audio cue as well, so if you've got your headset cranked up, you should be able to deal with that pretty quickly. But I think that game was a really interesting example of, again, the difference between Kings Canyon rotating early and getting that prime position in that end circle and what we have on World's Edge, because LG, they managed to get the best position. What you would claim to be the best position, right? Central in the zone. The only problem is everyone is collapsing onto them, and with only 3 players, there's only so many angles you can watch from that kind of position. So instead of having a building where you have the cover and you can watch certain angles in front of you and you've got that cover behind you from the side, wherever it might be, you have to have your head on a swivel. They had to prioritize the fact that the team were pushing above them from the high ground because that was the most difficult angle for them to fight. And then Saw just timed their push really well. We were quite impressed with how LG actually managed to survive as long as they did. But it's just one of those things, again, where these open circles, sometimes being in that prime position, forces everyone to look at you and you become the prime target in that position.
The other factor could also be the fact that Xenia had just a devotion with no turbo and then no secondary weapon.
Yeah.
So he didn't even have the, you have to take all, like, the reload time into account. You have to take the fact that there's a wind up on the Devo because you don't have the turbo on it. Like, had he had different guns, that could have maybe gone in their favor.
Yeah, we got charged by 3 people at the end. It was a tough position to be in, but Saw, again, it's a kind of a testament to patience in those kind of situations, those end circles, not getting carried away with the situation, not hearing that fighting and immediately engaging, waiting for one team to be completely downed, and then timing your push before they can get armor swaps off or manage to loot in that small window that they do have to re-engage. Saw timed it perfectly, and you have to give them huge credit. And again, it's another team who yesterday weren't too consistent. They did have one very good finish in the second game of the day, I believe it was, but it's going to make things very interesting again. Another team picking up points.
Yeah, going back to the analysis you guys did, I think you're both absolutely right. It's so hard to know exactly the repercussions of decisions you make down the line in any sort of match and seeing where you might end up. So whilst at one point, getting into the center of a circle might be the optimal decision because, of course, then you have the most sightlines over geography, etc. But then, you know, later on in the match, it might end up turning against you when you have all the attention from the different teams, all these different places you have to look. And we saw a good example of that in this matchup.
I mean, LG did nothing wrong. That's the thing. LG did absolutely nothing wrong. They played the game as they would have wanted to play it. Unfortunately for them, there was just maybe more teams alive in that final circle than they would have wanted to be able to close it out. But positionally, rotation-wise, pretty much a good game for them.
Honestly, I think had that been an end zone where their position was located in a building, that they would have won that game. It literally was because it was in open ground and all they had were shipping containers to work with, essentially.
Thanks, guys. The scoreboard is ready. Let's see where our teams ended up after our second match on day 2, match number 8. Saw Gaming at the top, 24 points, 12 kills, very healthy. Oh!
Come on, Wizen!
Wizen!
I wrote them down on my notes too.
Wizen making Onset very happy. He literally pumped his fist as he saw them in second. And Papega Squadron in third place, getting some points after being a bit lackluster after their win at the start of day 1. LG in 4th with 9. That's good to see as well. And Gambit, that's consistency over the first 2 games for today.
But not from yesterday, so that's a nice change from them too.
Indeed, they're continuing to get some momentum in day 2.
Reciprocity struggling a little bit there once again. So that's 2 games in a row now where Rec haven't performed quite in the same way. And look at that gap now.
Wow, yeah, Luminosity really pushing ahead in first place with 84 points. It's 9. Is that 19? It's 84 to 65, right?
Yeah, 84-65, but then look at 3rd through 7th.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Sorry, 3rd through 8th.
Yeah,
they're separated by, what, 3 points?
5 points overall from Alliance down to Virtus Pro. It's 5 points, 54 to 59. And, I mean, Na'Vi are just slightly behind that on 46. Just straining my eyes to see that.
Dude,
guys, we've got 4 more matches to go, and You know, Luminosity at this point, if they have some decent results over these next games, they should be able to hold on to a win if none of those other teams get big, consistent wins. But, you know, that can happen. And also, of course, everybody wants to get first place. There's so much to play for beneath that. Yeah. I think those points are leading us into what's going to be a very exciting finish for Europe, Middle East and Africa.
Damn
You're killing it today. I just want you to know that.
Man, yeah. All right, guys, any other thoughts before we head to a break?
I think Luminosity have just got to continue doing what they're doing. I don't think they can be concerned with what's happening around them. I think they've got to continue to rotate early because placement points are going to lead them to a win here. It's just a case of if they rotate badly or a team decides to hot drop on them and try and take them out early, that they're going to have a problem. But the way that they're playing, they certainly are the team to beat. Reciprocity is the worry for me because they haven't had the strongest first 2 games of the day. Starting to slip a little bit. If they have one good game, though, I'm sure that all will be forgiven and they'll be back into that contention of maybe challenging LG.
Glitter?
And what I like to see is Weising slowly climbing through those ranks. Giving the qualified team some love.
For second, they're going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, they're getting close, though.
Weising not. Everybody, do not go anywhere. We'll have match number 3 coming very shortly. For now, though, this break.